Welcome back, guys, to Kieran Horn CFB, and today I've got something a little bit different for you. We're going to be talking Big Ten predictions, but before we get into the video, as always, click like if you like the video, click dislike if you disliked it, and then let me know down below in the comments what you liked, what you disliked, and also click subscribe and that bell button, turn the notifications on so you can be notified every time I upload. Without further ado, let's get into Big Ten predictions, part 1. Let's start with the most obvious choice, and that is Ohio State University. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of me saying the Ohio State, but we're going to get into this team because I think possibly they're going to be the best team in the Big Ten this year. You got to start with CJ Stroud, obviously at the top, a phenomenal quarterback. I said it when I was on the Full 10 podcast with Raj. Look, you see him play, he really is a special player, the way he passes, the way he moves, his pocket presence, his accuracy, just everything is fantastic about him. You even compare him to Ohio State quarterbacks of old, he just has that something different. He's way better than Justin Fields and anyone who's come before. I think he truly can be special, and he's gonna be a problem for this team, but he has help. Jackson Smith and Jigba probably a top 3 receiver in college football right now. I'm not going to put him at the top because obviously Kayshon Boutte has that spot, but he is one of the top guys in college football right now. He's obviously got help with Trayvon Henderson, and they're even returning DeJuan Jones and Paris Johnson on that offensive line. 2 great players returning. That's really going to help them down the line. Now, CJ Stroud isn't a slouch outside of the pocket and he can scramble, but it does make his job a lot easier if he's not having to run for his life on every single play. Now, the defense needs to build on 2021 as they gave up 22.8 points per game and 5.3 yards per play. That's not great, but they have always had a very good defense. They have their dips and they have their down years, and I think last year really represented that as they did struggle against teams like Oregon and Michigan, which, I know Ohio State fans are going to hate that, but you guys did not have the best year against Michigan last year, which is, but that's okay. You've also brought in Jim Knowles, though, from Oklahoma State. He is going to do a lot for this defense. He's going to help you build and help make sure that you are solid on defense. Now, you've got edge Zach Harrison coming back, Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers at linebacker. 2 fantastic players who, we know Ohio State over the past few years have just absolutely been producing defensive line guys like Chase Young. So you guys have got fantastic stock, fantastic quality, and guys like Zach Harrison, Tommy Eichenberg, Steel Chambers, they are going to make a lot of difference. Now, I know 2 of those guys are linebackers, but they are fantastic and they are going to do a lot for you. Now, your DB room is kind of weak. I know you lost Sevyn Banks to LSU. Less said about that, the better, to be honest. But Burke and Ronnie Hickman can do fantastic for you. The biggest thing Ohio State need to work on in 2021 is defensive communication. We saw last year in a lot of their games where they struggled on defense. It came down to simply communication issues, and that's not an easy thing to fix. Trust me, as an LSU fan, I know that sucks, but with a head coach like Ryan Day, I truly believe that these mistakes can be taught from the top, trickle down to the team, and then be fixed. So I think Ohio State's probably actually going to win the Big Ten this year, as much as it pains me to say, and we'll almost certainly see them in the playoffs. But let's move on to team number 2, a team that I literally just mentioned and beating Ohio State last year, and that's Michigan. I gotta ask though, was extending Harbaugh the mistake for them? He's been mediocre since he arrived at the school, and they give him a massive contract extension the second he beats Ohio State. Now, I know that is a huge game for Michigan, but you need to do more than that. He went to the playoffs and got decimated. Now, I know the defense was not terrible. You allowed 17.4 points per game, but you did lose your defensive coordinator, Mike Mack. You also lost Hutchinson and Jabo and Hawkins and Hill all to the NFL. You've lost players to the NFL and a coach to the NFL. Can you rebuild from that? Can Jesse Minter step up, basically, and do bits for this team? The problem with you guys is I think it starts at the top. Harbaugh, not a fan. I don't think he's a particularly good coach. He doesn't really excel in any one area. And look, I see quarterback as a problem, but you do have Cade McNamara and JJ McCarthy as basically your two quarterbacks at this point, and I don't think either of them exceptional. You leaned on the run game a lot last year, and that's actually what it's going to have to come down to again. Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards are going to have to pick up a lot of the slack, because as good as you might say Cade and JJ are, they are not top tier quarterbacks. They're not NFL guys. They're not the cream of the crop when we're talking about college football quarterbacks. But that's just how it is. On offense, though, you have Matt Weiss and Sharon Moore, who are now like co-offensive coordinators, I guess. And then you have Virginia transfer Olusegun Olutami. I'm bad at these names. Olguson Otawami at center as well. That's going to be a big improvement for that offensive line. The biggest problem Michigan have this year is defense. You lost so many pieces to the NFL, and I think it's going to be hard to rebuild that sort of defensive core, because they are fantastic guys. Look, Hutchinson was one of the best edge rushers in college last year. I know you can kind of have the debate. Was it him? Was it, Thibodeau? It's by the by at this point. They're both now in the NFL. We're both going to see them balling very, very soon. But that is a big loss for Michigan. They've lost a lot of guys. So, JJ McCarthy or Cade McNamara, depending on who starts, these two guys are going to have to make a jump. Like I mentioned, they do have guys in the backfield. They do have some receivers, but these guys are really going to have to make a jump if they want to help this team win this year. I'm not sure if they make the playoffs. Possibly. They would, in my eyes, they would still have to beat Ohio State to do that, and I'm not sure Michigan can do that 2 years on the run. It's probably been about 50 years since they did that. But as long as they keep focused, keep their heads down, they have a good chance. And if they can make the playoffs, I think they will learn from last year's mistakes, and they could potentially make it to the national championship, depending on who they play. If they come in at 2 or 3, they have a better chance than if they come in at 4. Just trust me on that. Sorry, Michigan fans. I just think re-signing Harbaugh was a mistake, but obviously in times like now, you've got to strike while the iron's hot, strike while you're on form, and make sure you're changing as little as possible, especially when you're losing that many pieces of your defense, particularly to the NFL. But third, and by no means last in the part 1 of this video, just I'm trying to keep this below 20 minutes of video, is Michigan State. We got to ask, is Mel Tucker legit? Obviously, his first year COVID, not great, but he went 11-2 last year. And another big problem, Kenneth Walker. Are you going to be able to replace him? He was a fantastic running back. Why am I saying is? Was a fantastic running back. And are you going to be able to replace him? Fingers crossed you can. But you have Jalen Berger and Jarrett Broussard, Berger from Wisconsin and Broussard from Colorado, who are both going to be in there and helping that. And then Peyton Thorne has Jaden Reed to throw to, fantastic. But in your secondary, you've also added Amir Reed from Georgia, who is fantastic. And you still have guys like linebacker Cal Halliday, edge Jeff Pietrowski. I'm just bad at these names that aren't super Irish. And then you obviously added Chris Bogle from the University of Florida. So you've added some key pieces on offense. You've added some key pieces on defense. But now is the time where you ask, is Mel Tucker legit? Is he that guy? Can he take your team to the next level? I personally think he can. I really like Mel Tucker. I was honestly hoping that he was going to take the LSU job before Brian Kelly arrived. Obviously, I'm happy with Brian Kelly, but Mel Tucker was kind of one of those picks where I was like, I really wonder what he could do with the resources of a team like LSU at his disposal. And that's not a shot at Michigan State. They're a fantastic school, but when we talk about legacy programs, LSU is one of those teams. So the biggest hurdle they are going to face this year is Mel Tucker the guy? I personally think he is. And I think they're probably going to be competing with Michigan for the second place in the East. Now, I know we talk about Ohio State and they're up there, and obviously Michigan's had a great year, but Michigan State had a great year too. Make no mistake, they were one of the better teams in the Big Ten this year. We saw that they had some signature wins last year, but this is where Mel Tucker is going to earn his bread. Can he be that guy? I think he can. But anyway, guys, we're here at 10 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up for the part 1 of the Big Ten East. But you can join me in 2 days, I think, depending on how editing goes. You can join me in 2 days where we're going to wrap up the second part of the Big Ten East. And we are just going to... Look, I'm keeping these informal. We're just going to talk ball for a little bit. But let me know down in the comments what you thought of my predictions. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let's talk. Head over to my Twitter, at Kieran Horn CFB. It's the exact same name as the channel. Head over there right now. But just before I go, remember to subscribe. Click the bell icon. Turn notifications on. You'll be notified in about 2 days when I upload again. Thank you for joining me for this very special video breaking down the Big Ten. But without further ado, guys, I will see you in the next one.